Bonjour et bienvenue à notre réunion de midi. Nous sommes le mercredi 4 octobre. Nous avons une annonce pour vous aujourd'hui et pour cela, j'appelle un journaliste.
Grazie Arianna. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As announced by President von der Leyen during her State of the Union address, the Commission has today launched an anti-subsidy investigation into imports of battery electric vehicles from China. This investigation will determine whether battery electric vehicle value chains in China benefit from illegal subsidisation and whether this subsidisation causes or threatens to cause economic injury to EU producers of battery electric vehicles. Should both prove true, the investigation will examine the likely consequences and impact of measures on importers, users and consumers of battery electric vehicles in the EU. Based on the findings, the Commission will establish whether it is in the EU's interest to remedy the effects of any unfair trade practices found by imposing anti-subsidy duties on imports of battery electric vehicles from China. This investigation will follow strict legal procedures in line with our own EU and World Trade Organization rules. It will allow all parties concerned, including the Chinese government and relevant companies and exporters, to present their comments, evidence and arguments. Thank you.
Thank you, Olaf. Please stay here on the podium with me. We're now ready to take your questions, and perhaps I would ask you to start with questions on the announcement by Olaf, if you have any, since he's already on the podium. Is it on this? You need to wait for the microphone to turn red. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ian Johnston, Financial Times. Do you have any time frames on that investigation and the sort of procedure ahead? Thank you.
So the timelines are quite clear on this. From the date of initiation, i.e. today, the maximum amount of time the investigation can take is 13 months. However, provisional anti-subsidy duties may be imposed 9 months after initiation, i.e. 9 months after today, followed by 4 months to then impose these definitively. As regards process, as mentioned, it strictly follows our own, but most importantly, World Trade Organization rules. We're at the start of a fact-based investigation, as part of which we will consult extensively, including with Chinese authorities and industry. And I'm happy to provide the dense technical explanation afterwards, if you like.
Thank you, Olaf. I think we have another question relating to the investigation. Chen Weihua, connected from remote. Weihua, you need to speak on the, you need to press on the speak button.
Okay, yeah. Could you define what are illegal subsidies and what are legal subsidies? I mean, because you use the word illegal subsidies, and we all know that everyone is providing subsidies, the EU and the US. Well, for example, EU launched an investigation into the US Inflation Reduction Act, which subsidized the US, made EVs. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So there are a number of things to keep in mind here. The first is that the decision to initiate this investigation is based on a wide and comprehensive collection of evidence by the European Commission. The second point to keep in mind is that there are very prescriptive and detailed rules in the World Trade Organization rulebook as to what constitutes supply-side subsidies. And in this case, the evidence collected by the European Commission indicates that there is a sufficient evidence base to initiate the investigation. In relation to your question concerning the United States, there is no evidence of a surge in imports in a short time frame coming from the United States. Therefore, there is no justification for initiating an investigation.
Thank you, Olaf. Are there other questions relating to the investigation? Does not seem to be the case. Other questions for Olaf on the files he covers? Not the case either. Thank you, Olaf. I open the floor to other questions, and I see that Jorge has his hand raised from remote. I'll come to the press room in a moment.
Yes, hi, hello, Arianna. I have a question on the Tunisian memorandum. If you have any updates to share with us regarding these very shocking comments made by the Tunisian president, saying that he has rejected the 127 million that you offered to release 2 weeks ago. First of all, did the Tunisian government communicate this refusal by an official channel? And second, have you transferred electronically any money of this, any part of this 127 million to the bank account of the Tunisian government? Has anything been transferred yet? And if that's the case, has anything been sent back by the Tunisian government? Thank you.
Many thanks for your questions, Jorge, on this. So, look, what I can tell you is that we are in contact with the Tunisian authorities on the implementation of the MOU. Work continues to deliver on the implementation of the MOU, which, as you know, covers 5 pillars: macroeconomic stability, trade and economy, green energy transition, people-to-people contacts, and also migration and mobility, in close cooperation with the Tunisian authorities. I think that, as we've tried to explain many times before, the MOU provides a comprehensive framework and tools to support Tunisia in addressing a number of challenges, including macroeconomic stability and migration, as well as seizing cooperation opportunities in sectors of joint interest. Now, as regards your particular question on the payment, as I said, I mean, the EU remains a reliable and predictable partner and continues to deliver on its commitments as part of the MOU with Tunisia. And we can confirm that earlier this week, the Commission has indeed processed the payment of 60 million grants to the Tunisian Treasury, following a request from the Tunisian government on the 31st of August.
Thank you, Anna. Jorge, you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Anna, for the clarifications. Just one thing, the money that you transferred earlier this week is part of the budgetary support that goes directly into the Tunisian Treasury. And just to double-check, this money has not been sent back by the Tunisian government. Thank you.
Many thanks for your question, Jorge. Indeed, as we've said, as I've just said, this is money that goes to the Tunisian Treasury. And as I said, the payment has been processed following a request from the Tunisian government on the 31st of August.
Thank you, Anna. Other questions on this topic? One hand raised in the press room. You have the floor.
Thank you, Laura Dubois for the FT. I just want to follow up on those questions. Could you tell us a bit more about the impact on the programs that you have told us about recently? The vessels for the Coast Guards, the fuel, does that mean the money for those programs cannot be dispersed? And can you also say whether you continue to negotiate similar deals with other countries like Egypt and Morocco? Thank you.
Thanks so much for the question, Laura. So, indeed, these 60 million are part of the package that we announced some days ago. You might recall that the other 67 million which we announced, which was for migration actions, I mean, the objective was to accelerate the contracting as much as possible. This combines funding, as we explained, from previous programs and also, of course, part of the new package on migration. And, I mean, just as an example, just to show that work continues, we actually signed last week already contracts with IOM and UNHCR for 13 million and 8 million. So 8 million with UNHCR and 13 million with IOM respectively. So basically to boost protection and also assisted voluntary returns to countries of origin. So voila. On your last point, I think that as Dan has previously confirmed here on the podium, there's no negotiations with other countries. I would just like to maybe recall that the European Council has pointed on the need to move forward with similar partnerships with other countries in the region, but of course, it's still to be seen, the partners of choice.
Thank you, Anna. You have a follow-up?
Thank you. Can I just confirm you said that 30 million and 8 million had been dispersed to the humanitarian organizations? Is that part of the money you announced last week? And does that mean that some of the money has been dispersed, although President Sayed said he didn't want the money? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lara. I think I'm repeating myself, but otherwise I don't seem to be making a very good job at explaining what it is that we're doing. So we have processed already the payment of 60 million in budget support. And the contracts that I just referred to were also part of the package that we announced, and it's 13 million and 8 million respectively. So these contracts have been signed last week, as I said, with IOM and with UNHCR to boost protection services for migrants and vulnerable people on the ground, and also to boost voluntary returns to countries of origin.
Thank you. Another question on this topic? Go ahead.
Hi, I don't want to be repetitive, but I just want to make sure that we got this right. These 13 plus 8 are part of the 67 million that would have to support border management in Tunisia. Do I understand right?
I think it's a bit of a reduction when you say border management. I think border management is quite a specific type of action. This is support for protection of migrants and for stepping up voluntary returns with IOM back to countries of origin. But indeed, it's part of the package that we announced a few weeks ago.
Thank you. You have a follow-up?
Yeah, it's a return to square one to Sayed's comments on the fact that he is refusing EU fundings. So it seems the case that you have given part of these funds despite Sayed saying that he has refused them. So did you receive any notification from the Tunisian government that he has refused or he has not requested any funds? And have his declarations been backed by concrete actions?
I can just basically state the facts. The facts are that earlier this week we processed the payment. This was in line with what we had announced already some weeks ago. By the way, this was discussed also by Commissioner Vahey with the Tunisian Foreign Affairs Minister already some weeks ago before we announced the funding to explain, the next steps and how we're taking forward the implementation of the MOU. And frankly speaking, that's what we're focused on. We're basically focused on swift delivery of the MOU across the 5 pillars, and this is obviously done in close cooperation with the Tunisian authorities.
Another follow-up, but indeed, what we can confirm is the close contacts with the Tunisian authorities at all stages and at all levels, and really the implementation of the MOU, which, as you see, is our priority and is starting to be translated into actions as quickly as we can.
Yeah, in your previous reply, you said that you delivered the 60 million following a request, if I understood right, from the Tunisian government on the 31st of August. In this request, were they asking you to deliver only the 60 million or also the remaining funds that do not have to do with budget support?
Many thanks for the question. What we are referring to here is the ongoing budget support program. It follows the rules and procedures for budget support operations. So basically, it's for the partner country to make the request for the payment, and the Commission is in a position to accept that request of the payment after a verification of a certain pre-agreed reform targets. So that's how the process works. The payment was for request for this budget support, and this is what has happened.
Thank you, Anna. I see more hand raised online. David.
Yes, thank you. I would have a couple of questions. First one from a technical point of view. Anna, I would like to know if you can remind us if this payment of 60 millions of budget support was foreseen by the memorandum or by other actions by the EU. If I remember well, it was COVID, not the memorandum, that was the justification for this budget support. The second point is more political. I would like to know if you have any comment, any reflection on what President Sayed said, because it's clear that you are in close contact with the Tunisian authorities, but the president of Tunisia, who was there when the memorandum was signed, is saying that what you are paying is charity and it's against the memorandum. So any reflection on that? And last question, has the President called President Sayed, or does she foresee to call President Sayed? Thank you.
Many thanks, David, for your questions. I'll try to go one by one. I mean, cooperation never starts from scratch with any partner country, and of course we're a long-standing partner of Tunisia. So in this sense, the MOU builds on ongoing programs and obviously new funding, which is being made available under the 2023 budget, indeed in line with procedures and rules underpinning each of the different funding instruments that we have available. So that's for the first question. I think for the second question, look, I mean, we've taken note of the communique by the Tunisian presidency. I think that you will obviously understand that the EU conducts its relations with partners through direct contacts, and this is exactly, what we are doing. So we remain in contact with the Tunisian authorities. Contacts are ongoing. As we've said, these contacts happen both from HQ, also from the delegation, and I think we'll leave it there. Just again to reiterate that, we are committed to swift delivery on the Memorandum of Understanding across all the pillars that it covers.
Thank you. On the last point, as Anna was saying, our contacts keep continuously to be in force with the Tunisian authorities. I will check to be very sure whether there has been a call with President Sayed. If, of course, this was the case, it would be in the agenda of the President, or we would be communicating about it at one point. And I'll let you know if we have any announcement to make in this sense. Other questions on this, Tom? Sorry, David, you have a follow-up. I didn't realize.
Thank you, Arianna. Je vais poser ma question en français. Donc, pour être clair, les 60 millions, c'est du support budgétaire. Pourquoi, Anna? Techniquement, c'était la reprise Covid ou c'est ceux qui étaient prévus, les 150 millions qui sont prévus, une partie des 150 millions qui sont prévus par le mémorandum. Et si je peux ajouter une chose, le président du Conseil européen, dans une interview, a pointé le doigt sur le fait que la Tunisie a un régime sans visa avec les pays africains. Et cela facilite évidemment l'arrivée de migrants subsahariens qui après prennent les bateaux et vont en Italie. Est-ce que le mémorandum prévoit quelque chose sur ça? Est-ce que la Tunisie doit introduire un régime de visa pour les pays africains? Merci.
Merci beaucoup pour la question. Pour la première partie de ta question, oui, comme on a déjà expliqué, les 60 millions, ça appartient à un programme d'appui budgétaire qui vise notamment à soutenir la récupération économique post-Covid, comme tu l'as très bien rappelé toi-même. Et ça fait pas partie de les 150 millions d'appui budgétaire qu'on aimerait essayer d'adopter d'ici à la fin de l'année. Bien sûr, après les procédures normales, donc adoption via comitologie avec les États membres. Et bien sûr en coordination avec les autorités tunisiennes concernant l'utilisation de ces fonds. Les discussions là-dessus continuent, donc je peux pas dire plus pour l'instant. Et concernant ta deuxième partie de la question, Anita va regarder et revenir vers toi.
Merci. Tom, tu as une question?
It's another subject.
Another subject. On revient vers toi dans quelques instants. Alors, Assad Hussein? C'est à propos du même sujet? C'est toujours le speak button qui nous aide à parler avec vous? Oui.
Sorry. Yes, it's about Tunisia again. Anna, you said that the payment of the 60 millions has been processed. Does that mean the Tunisian authorities received that money? And after the president's speech, did you receive any notification that they will send this money back to you? And is there any deadline to implement the MOU after 3 in a row? First the visit of the EU Parliament delegation refused, and then the Commission, and now this speech? Thank you.
Look, thanks so much for the question. I mean, I think I'm just repeating myself here again. The process of the payment has been done. This is funding that goes to the treasury of the Tunisian treasury. And concerning the implementation of the MOUs and the deadlines, I mean, there's no deadline. We are obviously trying to work as fast as possible on the ground to deliver, again, on all the points and all the sectors that are covered by the memorandum. And of course, this is done in close cooperation with the Tunisian authorities.
Thank you, Anna. Tom. Assad Hussein, you have a follow-up?
Yes, my question is, did you receive any notification that they will send this money back or don't receive it, as they call it, charity? Thank you.
Thanks so much for the question, Hussein. I mean, the payment has been done at the request of the Tunisian authorities, so I will leave it there.
Catherine, is it on the same topic?
I will just can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Okay, perfect. I'm just wondering, Charles Michel has given an interview on German media, and he has reiterated that Ukraine should become a member by 2030. If you have any comment on that. And also, he criticized quite harshly that the Commission has occasionally exceeded its competences. He's referring to the deal with Tunisia, for example, but also on the decision to focus on gas and petroleum products when it comes to sanctions. I was just wondering if you've got a comment on that. Thank you.
Thanks. We have indeed seen these statements by the President of the Council. In our view, they are partially inaccurate and in no way strengthen the EU's ability to act effectively in dealing with the difficult issue of migration. The Commission has been negotiating the MOU since the beginning of the summer and has repeatedly reported to the ambassadors of the Member States in the Council on the main features of the agreement and on the progress made in the negotiations. The Commission has the full political endorsement of the European Council, including in its conclusions of the June 2023 meeting, and is making practical and effective progress in fight against illegal migration. Negotiations on partnerships such as the one with Tunisia are politically based on explicit UCO conclusions. Moreover, the Commission is legally free to negotiate agreements that are not binding under international law, such as the MOU with Tunisia. After the conclusion of the agreement with Tunisia, several heads of government explicitly praised the outcome and encouraged the Commission to conclude further agreements along these lines. And for what concerns your reference to the date for accession that the President of the Council has once again publicly put forward, we don't understand the need for this date. This risks undermining the confidence of many stakeholders in a fair, transparent and merit-based accession process. The treaties give the European institutions a clear role as neutral and objective intermediary in a clear and defined process. Tom, your hand is raised.
And Mr. Sefcovic, it seems that both candidates have made a commitment that the Commission would put forward a climate target of 90% for 2040. Is this in any way binding for the College, or what does this mean for the decision to come of the Commission?
Tom, apologies, I had forgotten that your question was on another topic. I didn't see other hand raised, though, so was it still on Tunisia before we let... sorry? On Tunisia. So we'll first take your question and then we'll get back to Tom. Apologies.
Yeah, just wanted to have an official comment on why only 31 million out of 67 have been disbursed today to Tunisia. Is the rest of the money, I mean, has it been subject to disagreements or to ongoing negotiations with Tunisia, or is it just a technical issue and, you know, that money will soon be delivered to the Tunisian authorities?
Thanks so much for the question. I mean, as we said, we are accelerating as much as possible contracts. So basically, this is work in progress. There's absolutely no delay. We're just following procedures going forward. As I mentioned, you know, last week we already signed 2 more contracts. So tentatively, I mean, the package that we announced on the 67 million, it was the actions that we identified, like that could be mobilized quicker on the ground, or that could be materialized quicker on the ground. And I mean, grosso modo, we think that this could be all done between now and the end of the year subsequently. So as we said, we will go as fast as possible as we can.
Thank you, Anna. Other questions on Tunisia before we change topic? Is it on Tunisia? Go ahead.
Not exactly about Tunisia, but for Anna. As a follow-up.
Sorry, let me just close the chapter on Tunisia. I see that Hazad Hussein has his hand raised. Is it on Tunisia? You need to press on speak.
Yeah, sorry again. Anna, you said the 60 million has been processed on the request of the Tunisian authorities. Just to be clear, did they request 60 million euros?
I think it's a question.
I think that it's you know, we are becoming repetitive here. They made a payment request on the ongoing budget support program, and we have processed a 60 million budget support payment.
Thank you. Let's move then to other topics, still for Anna. So I come back to you here in the press room.
Thank you. Alexandra Boudouri from Greek Daily Kathimerini. Just a follow-up question from my colleague Laura. Is the Commission in contact with other countries like Morocco or Egypt for similar kind of MOUs or agreements? And Vice President Margaritis Schinas visited 3 countries of the Western Africa. Are there any plans for new visits for other countries of Western Africa or in Africa? Thank you.
I think on the first question we have answered already, and on the second question I will let Anita get back to you.
Thank you, Anna. Still a question for Anna?
On a question on enlargement, we reported today that Ukrainian accession would cost 186 billion over 7 years. Total cost of adding 9 candidate countries would be 256.8 billion, according to internal EU modelling. Does the Commission recognise those numbers, and are you going to publish your own impact study?
Thank you. First of all, you know very well that we don't comment on newspaper reports about leaked documents. I believe we had not seen the study. For what concerns the second part of your question, as President von der Leyen stressed in her State of the Union speech in September, we're working on a series of pre-enlargement policy reviews to see how each area may need to be adapted to a larger union. This also means that we need to discuss the future of our budget clearly in terms of what it finances, how it finances it, and how it's financed. It was the language that the President had used. Reflections about the future of the EU budget are all-encompassing. Enlargement is one of the dimensions that are under considerations, of course, together with the impact of global developments on the budget. Europe's competitiveness on cutting-edge technologies, climate transition, social fairness, just to name a few as examples. At this stage, we're not going to comment or quote the figures. Also providing figures without context would not add much at this stage. Methodology needs to be clarified as well. As we know from past experiences, the impact of enlargement will depend on multiple parameters, such as the scope, the timing, and the policy design. Therefore, extrapolations at this stage do not say much in our view. Other questions on this topic or on topics that Anna covers? Not the case. Thank you very much, Anna. Anita, you want to join me for the second part of the reply to Alexandra? Thank you.
Thanks, Alexandra. Will be short indeed to confirm that the Vice President Sinas has traveled from the 25th to the 27th September to Guinea and Senegal and Ivory Coast. The aim was to step up the engagement with our partners in West Africa. And he will also travel soon to Mauritania and the Gambia, as you might have seen from his speech in the plenary.
Thank you, Anita. Other questions on this? David, not sure if it's on this or if it's for Anita more generally. David, you need to press and speak. I think you know the drill. I'm sure you know the drill.
It's for Anita.
Go ahead, David. I do not see other hand raised on this specific topic, so please. David, we lost you. You dropped, apparently. I don't see you reconnected. He's reconnecting. Let's give him a moment. Otherwise, we'll take first Tom's question and get back. There you are, David.
I will try. I have a bad connection. I hope it works. Just wondering if you have an explanation for the border controls decided by Poland, Czech Republic, and Austria with Slovakia.
Thank you, David. You know our position that we have reiterated it many times, that reintroducing border controls must remain exceptional and strictly limited in time and a measure of last resort. We are aware of the new measures that have been also notified to us from Poland, Czechia and Austria. For the moment, we are aware that these measures have been introduced for a short period of time. This means 10 days. We are in contact with these member states. The Schengen coordinator is in close touch with them, also to identify possible alternative measures. We also understand that these controls are adapted to make sure that they interfere as little as possible with the cross-border travel.
Thank you, Anita. Other questions on this matter or on other topics that Anita follows? Does not seem to be the case. Thanks a lot. Tom, back to you. Apologies. Would you mind briefly repeating the question because a bit of time has passed? I think the team can...
Mr. Hoekstra and Mr. Šefčovič in the hearing that the Commission would put forward a 90% target for 2040. Is this in any kind binding for the Commission, and what does it mean for the process of this planned decision of the College?
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, indeed, this was part of the discussions of Maroš Šefčovič and Wopke Hoekstra with the Parliament committees. So they also asked for specific written replies on this topic following the oral commitments that the both of them made. So, as you know, our impact assessment work is ongoing to propose a climate target, or to set out what a climate target for 2040 could look like in terms of emissions reductions. Now, what they've both said in their joint reply to the Parliament this morning is that on the basis of the impact assessment and the recommendations of the European Scientific Advisory Board, we will defend a minimum target of at least 90% net reduction by 2040. So that means the two of them have committed to the Parliament that they will defend, as part of the institutional collegial process, that target. But as you know, any decision, any proposal, any communication adopted by the College is done, collegially. It's not one or two members which set that target, but I think what you see here is a very clear steer from the two lead commissioners, lead members of the College, on this issue of what they will be aiming to and working towards.
Thank you, Tim. Other questions on this or on the other files that Tim covers? Not the case. I see one hand raised. Momchil, I'm not sure if it's for Tim. Momchil, you have to press on speak.
Okay, thank you. Well, so I think my question is for Tim, because it's about the events in Bulgaria. I think that the Commission is aware of the events in Bulgaria, in the protest of the miners, etc. So the government and the trade unions reached an agreement, and one of the points of these agreements makes the government to negotiate with the Commission not to close the coal-fired power station in Bulgaria. So, do you think that is it possible such negotiations to be held?
Thank you, Momchil. It's actually for Stefan, who's joining me on the podium.
Thank you very much, Momchil, for this question. The first thing I would like to stress here that the press room is not a negotiation room. That's one thing. We have received the territorial joint transition plans from Bulgaria. The objective, the purpose of these plans is to help steering the use of just transition funds for Bulgaria and to support those regions that are most affected by the transition to the green economy. Now, the just transition territorial plans need to indicate a whole set of elements which identify the problems concerned in the different regions, the solutions, how things will be tackled. We have taken note, or rather we are aware of what has been said about the agreement that has been reached. Obviously, we're not in a position now to comment on this agreement. We have received the plans from Bulgaria. We will look into it, as I said also yesterday or the day before yesterday. If the Commission has to make any further observations, we will do so, but we're not going to have negotiations here in the press room. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Other questions relating to coal and Bulgaria? Does not seem to be the case. Other questions for Stefan on the topics he follows? Not the case either. Other questions for us today? Go ahead.
Thank you, Sofia Nazarenko, Channel 24. I would like to ask you, could you comment on the information that the European Commission wants to unblock 13 billion euros for Hungary to have a support for Ukraine? Could you comment on this? Do you have any negotiations ongoing? Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's still for Stefan, unless I am mistaken. Stefan, I'm afraid I'll have to call you again on the podium. Apologies. Do you mind briefly repeating the question? It related to the alleged decision by the Commission to disburse funds to Hungary?
Yeah, could you comment that the European Commission wants to unblock 13 billion euro for Hungary to have a support from Hungary's side to give a further, to provide further financial support for Ukraine? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this question was also asked yesterday during the college readout, and Vice President Jourova has given a quite clear reply. What you described is unfounded speculation. What has happened is that Hungary officially informed in July 2023 that it considers fulfilling the horizontal enabling conditions. We have thoroughly analyzed information that has been given to us, sent to us by Hungary, but we believe, as also Vice President Jourova explained, that we needed some further clarifications, which is exactly why we've sent a letter requiring further information from the Hungarian authorities. As soon as we receive these clarifications, we will continue our assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. You have a follow-up.
Yeah, thank you. But could you confirm that these negotiations are ongoing regarding to unblock this money? Yeah, thank you.
Again, I refer to what Vice President Jourova said. What happened is we received information on an updated self-assessment from Hungary. There are some elements there where we need clarifications, and we expect these clarifications. We need these clarifications, and this will allow us to finalize our assessment. And this is the work that's ongoing.
Indeed, thank you. And it's part of the standard process for the disbursement of this type of funds. Other questions on this topic or on matters covered by Stefan? Not the case. Thanks a lot. Other questions for us today? Not the case either. So thank you very much. I remind you that there's going to be no midday in the coming days because of the meeting of the leaders in Granada. Therefore, I'll see you next week in the press room for our midday press briefing. Goodbye.